Hey y'all, so I wanted to talk about the dumpster fire movie Straw, and I'm not going to get too much into it, but I do want to give a little bit of background on how I was introduced to Tyler Perry, just so you can understand where I'm coming from as far as my opinion and reaction to the movie. So I first became aware of Tyler Perry when I was in the 6th grade, and my English teacher, I believe, would put on his plays during class sometimes, like on one of those days where it's the movie day. Well, she would put on a Tyler Perry play. So that's when I was first introduced to Tyler Perry, and then he came out with Diary of a Mad Black Woman a few years later, which was his first movie, which I thought was pretty good. It wasn't like anything outstanding, but it was pretty good. It was watchable. Now, over the years, Tyler Perry's movies have gotten, in my opinion, more and more ridiculous, more and more silly, and just absurd, to the point where his dramatic movies that are supposed to evoke like these strong emotions and feelings and have you thinking and just be thought-provoking, to me are just funny. I just laugh at them. I'm not even gonna tell you the movies that I think are funny that are supposed to be serious, because you're gonna think I'm a sociopath. After Diary of a Mad Black Woman and then Medea's Family Reunion, which I think are his best movies, I would say the only other movies that I think were actually watchable were Why Did I Get Married, Why Did I Get Married 2, and then The Family That Prays. It could be a couple more in there that were okay, but for the most part, his movies, in my opinion, are just ridiculous. And my main complaint with his movies is that he doesn't display human behavior in a realistic way. A lot of times when I watch his movies, I just think nobody would really do that. Nobody would really say that. Like, he doesn't really understand, or he didn't really study human behavior, or he doesn't really understand how to translate it into a movie or to film. And then my other big complaint, is that he relies very heavily on trauma to create that drama in the movie, and it feels just cheap and not creative and unimaginative. It just comes off lazy. Yeah. I've definitely given up on his movies being anywhere near good. Like, I just gave up on it. But I did want to give this a watch because the concept of the movie looks like it was a little different from what he normally does, as far as like the bank robbing aspect of it. So I was a little bit intrigued. I was just already assuming that I wasn't gonna like it. It was gonna be stupid. I'll just be honest with you. So I was pretty biased before I even turned it on. But I did tell myself that I was gonna give it a fair shot. So I did. Okay, so let's get started with the review.
So Straw is about a single mother named Janiyah who has a daughter named Aria who is struggling with some health issues. Janiyah is also struggling financially. She's low income, working 2 jobs, trying to pay for the medicine for Aria, and also is trying to keep up with her bills. The movie takes place on one day, and this is Murphy's Law times 1,000 in this one day. Anything that can go wrong is going wrong, has to go wrong.
So when the movie opens up, it has that opening shot where it's setting the scene and letting you know what the situation is. So they're basically doing close-up shots of different areas of this apartment, and it looks kind of messy. And maybe that this person doesn't really have like a lot of time. They don't have a lot of time to clean or take care of the house because they have so much other things going on. That's the idea that I feel like it's trying to convey. And, it shows a close-up of the eviction notice of a medicine bottle, which of course would be the daughter's medicine bottle. So this further shows you that, yes, this person just has a lot on their plate. So keeping the house clean is just secondary. And then it shows, Taraji in bed with her daughter, and gives this maybe what I would assume was a flashback of something that just recently happened. And you find out that her daughter has illnesses, she's sick, she has to take a lot of medicine, and she's carrying her out of the hospital because she has to maybe rush her to the hospital the night before, and then maybe they got back late and didn't get a lot of sleep. So now they have to wake up, she has to get to work, daughter has to get to school. The part where the daughter's like getting ready in the bathtub, I immediately didn't really understand what was going on as far as with the $40. Her daughter needed $40 so she doesn't eat the special lunch and she doesn't have to sit separately from the other kids. This is the first. We are barely into the movie and it's already sounding ridiculous, because I'm going to assume that schools get federal dollars in order for kids to be able to eat lunch, and depending on the income of their parents, they can eat, you know, free lunch or reduced lunch. I feel like this is common knowledge, especially if you have kids in school. Like, you've seen the paperwork for it. Like, even if your kids don't get free reduced lunch, you've seen like maybe the paperwork to fill it out to do it, or to have your kids get free lunch. So I'm confused on why she needs $40. Like, if she's really struggling that much and she's really that low income, like, wouldn't her daughter get free lunch? But I'm guessing that's the special lunch that she's eating. But why is it different from the other kids? Like, if your kid is eating free lunch and somebody else has to pay for it, it's going to be the same lunch. Nobody's getting different lunch. Like, this movie's based in Georgia, so correct me if I'm wrong. Are things different in Georgia? Like, are they really doing kids like that? Like, are they really calling kids out like that and making them sit away from the other kids who pay for lunch? It's so stupid. Like, what? Please correct. If this is happening in Georgia, please tell me, because that's insane. I've never heard anything like that. The next thing where I literally paused the movie, I think maybe 10 to 20 minutes into the movie, because it had gotten so crazy ridiculous. Like, I paused the movie, I sat there for like 30 seconds and just started laughing. I'm just like, is he serious? This is not real life. This is not real life. Like, within 10 to 20 minutes, you know, after she drops her daughter off at school, the amount of crazy crap that happens to her, the amount of people being like verbally abusive to her, or the amount of mishaps or events that happen that have her day take a turn for the worse and the worse and the worse, are ridiculous. So let me tell you what they were. Let's talk about it. That she gets yelled at by her landlord to pay the rent. Okay. Grocery store, boss yells at her. So she's ringing someone up. She says she can't take the wick for certain food, and guy throws a glass bottle at her, or in her direction at least. Oh yeah, the lady did call her out her name. Okay, so then she gets a call to leave work. It's about her daughter. Boss yells at her again. She makes a stop at the bank. Of course, she can't get her money out of the bank, because if she takes out the amount she needs, it's going to close her account, and then the line's super long, so she can't close the account to get the money. She gets to the school. CPS is taking her daughter away because she's sick. She has seizures, so they're seeing bruises on her. She says she fell in the tub. So CPS takes the daughter away. So at that point, she's driving away. As she's in line, this long line, driving, she kind of stuck in traffic. She's trying to get back to work, I'm assuming, and she tries to leave out and go into a different lane, and this car almost hits her. So the car has like crazy road rage and is kind of following her, running over like traffic cones to get to her, and he finally catches up to her. Like, I think he like kind of hits her car or something. He finally catches up to her. He's like being very verbally abusive. You find out he's a cop. Give me a break. Another cop comes on the scene, and the first cop who's being verbally abusive, I'm assuming, was off duty. So the second cop, she basically says, okay, your registration's expired. Does everybody say tags for their car registration? I don't know. Is that everywhere? Your tags for your car? I don't know. But yeah, they says to her, the police officer, the female police officer, says that her registration is expired, so she's going to have to write her a ticket and impound her car. Crazy. She goes back to her apartment after her car gets impounded. She goes back to her apartment. She sees all of her stuff out on the curb in the rain. So her landlord put her out. All her stuff is wet in the rain. Okay, so then oh wait. And then with the car situation, the cop is like, I'm going to find a legal way to, you know what I mean? What? Crazy, okay? So she does end up coming back to work after that, 2 hours late, to get her check. And then they say that her check has to be mailed. Of course, she can't wait for that. She needs the money. So she leaves again. That's when she goes back to her place and all her stuff is on the curb in the rain. So then she goes back to try to get her check again, and the store gets robbed. Okay. It's too much. You know how you like free write, like just whatever comes to your mind, like just to kind of relieve stress or whatever. It's like he did that. He's like, let's just put it all in there. Let's just put it all in. Everything. Yeah, let's just do it all. Let's have someone rob the store. Not only that, let's not just have them rob the store. Let's have Janiyah unalive the robber. The boss is gonna blame her and think she's a setup, and she's gonna unalive him. And now this is where we get to the main part, where she actually goes to the bank to try to cash her check. And y'all, I was done. I actually started the movie the day before, and at that part I was just done. I did not think I was going to finish it because I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is crazy. What? But I do finish it. So this whole thing ensues with this very cliche robbery, hostage situation that we've seen a million times. The only thing is she wasn't actually trying to rob a bank. She's trying to cash a check. Okay, so here's the problem. Here's my problem with the movie. My big problem. All these different situations where people are being verbally abusive to her, this is not reality to me. This is not realistic. So all of the trauma she had in one day maybe would have happened in the span of a few weeks or a month, but in one day, that's a lot. And the way that he had these people being so verbally abusive to her, it's not realistic. Especially how he had the, Black people who are supposed to be playing these low income people, at the grocery store, at her apartment, in the bank. Like, they're being so obnoxious. And I just don't feel like that's reality. Of course, people act like that sometimes. But in one day, you're coming across these people back to back to back. That's just not reality. We've all come across some obnoxious people. But, I come from, a city, my hometown. It's a lot of Black people. So I literally just went back there, just went to Walmart. A Black lady with her husband literally just randomly smiled at me for no reason. Somebody who was Black there helped me with something. And then like another Black girl in a bonnet, no less. She's supposed to be the most obnoxious, right? No. We were kind of crossing paths and she smiled at me and let me go by. These interactions in this movie are ridiculous and just not normal. It's like, if you're a kind person, 9 times out of 10, people are going to be kind to you. If you have a kind demeanor and you give that off, that's what people are going to give back to you as well, in general. So I just don't like how he was trying to make it seem like people who are low income are just obnoxious and don't know how to act and just be going around cussing people out. That really annoyed me. Another thing that annoyed me so much was the end. The twist came out of nowhere. The only inkling that we got that something was off was the principal looking at Janiyah weird. And you're just sitting there like, why is she looking at her like she's weird? Like, why is she looking at her like that? So you assume that it's because CPS was called. She was going to call CPS on her. No, that's not why. No, that's not why. So there was a good plot twist is when you get a sense, like you don't know, but there's clues throughout the movie that there's going to be some plot twist at the end, and it should take you by surprise. But when you rewatch the movie, you should be like, oh, okay, I see. You should be able to see the clues and put it together. It should make sense. That didn't make sense at all. The principal giving her a weird look was not enough, okay? It was lazy and cheap and too much. The movie did not need that. There was already so much going on. What was the point? It didn't need that, in my opinion. Like, just so much trauma and just so much going wrong in her life on this one day and the night before. That didn't add anything to the movie to me. Absolutely nothing. The one thing I will give him props for was the toy, or the science project that her daughter Aria made. A lot of times in movies, they put too much emphasis on a object or something to foreshadow and to let you know that there's going to be that this is foreshadowing. Like, the camera will zoom up on this object and be like, hey, look, this is going to be important later. And it annoys me. The last time I saw that I was just done. I think the movie's called Spiderhead in Netflix. It's a Netflix movie where they zoomed in on this notebook. And it's like, hey, this notebook's going to be important. It's like, I'm not slow. You don't have to do all that for me to understand that this is important. So I really liked how the scene where they were talking about the science project, it made sense to where when they thought it was an actual bomb, I was like, oh, okay, that was good how he played that out. I like that. And that was probably the only thing I liked in that movie. That was probably the only thing I liked in that movie. I've heard people give excuses for Tyler Perry. You know, he's giving Black people jobs. He pays his actors well. But two things can be true at the same time. Like, the narrative and the plots for his movies are damaging.
I also wanted to talk about a few of the actors that were in the movie. So Taraji, I did not like her performance. She was really overdoing it and overacting. It was a lot. Teyana Taylor, I did not expect her, and I did not expect her performance. She can really go somewhere with her acting in the next few years. I can really see her being a really good actress in the next few years, like with just a few more movies under her belt. She did pretty good. But who stole the show for me was Sherri Shepherd. Like, she looked amazing, and she really made me continue watching. She was so believable. She was really into the role. You can tell, like, she really made it seem really believable, and really, honestly, was the only reason I continued to watch the movie. She did a really good job, and honestly, the other actors were just kind of there for me, just there. So honestly, not too much else to speak on with the actors. So tell me what you think. Do you think I'm being too critical and biased, or do you share my same thoughts about this movie? But that's all I have. See you in the next one. Bye.